Deion Sanders is not playing those typical recruiting games that are taking place in college football these days.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Board. Today's episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day, free and available wherever you get your podcast. As you can tell, I'm a little banged up, a little under the weather, which is why I hadn't had an episode the past couple of days. But I wanted to soldier through and give you guys a Thanksgiving one because obviously we have a lot to be thankful for, and I'm thankful for you guys tuning in every single day and making me your first listen. So we got a lot of things to talk about, Coach Prime-wise and Colorado-wise, and I wanted to get to it because there's just so much to be excited about. I think the season, if my voice cracks, it's because I've lost my voice from aggressively coughing over the past few days. But we have learned recently that obviously Colorado lost a couple commits, and they lost Winston Watkins Jr., and then they lost Talon Chandler, the offensive line commit. And Coach Prime had some comments about guys decommitting. And I think this is, I don't know if it's more so about these two guys as individuals or more so about the overall landscape of college football, high school recruiting, because obviously it's a different era. It's a different time period. These kids are, I won't say entitled, but they do have a sense of I'm owed this because I'm ranked this, and NIL hasn't really helped with that. But when speaking to the media earlier this week, Coach Prime said a kid ain't even faithful to his girlfriend. You think he's going to be faithful to his school? That's an emotional thing. What I wish the NCAA would do is if you commit somewhere, you can't go on other visits. One thing about it, we're not an ATM. That's not going to happen here. You're not going to come here to get rich unless you're coming here to go to the NFL or get your degree. So I think there's a couple of big parts of this that I wanted to touch on. For starters, he says he wishes the NCAA would basically prevent you from taking visits when you're committed. I think that's a fair rule. I think we've seen programs like, I know Brent Venables at Oklahoma does that. I know Clemson, Dabo Sweeney, same tree. They do that as well, where if I commit to Colorado, I'm not like, you know what? I'm committed to Colorado, but I am going to take a visit to Oregon because I still got one of my visits left. I think that is fair. I don't think the NCAA could enforce that because then kids would just not commit ever. And I don't think that kids would want to I don't think there would be a lot of support for that. But I understand the kind of, I guess, the notion behind it. I think Coach Prime can establish that rule himself once his program gets more established. Be like, you know what? We want you, but if you don't want to be here, don't. Like, we're not begging anybody to be here. So I thought that was the interesting part, was him kind of calling for the NCAA to change, because obviously that's never going to happen. The NCAA is what they are. And then it stands out that it says we're not an ATM. And so I think this is more so talking about the fact that college football, high school recruiting in general is just all based off of NIL. He said it multiple times throughout the year that recruits will ask him immediately, like, how much am I going to get? What am I going to get from you? How much money am I going to get if I go here? Rather than what is my fit in the scheme? What is my playing time looking like? Kids don't care about that as much. I think they care about that partially, but I think they want to know, okay, if I go here, I'm making $20,000. But if I go to this school, which isn't as big of a school, I'm going to make $60,000. And Coach Prime is letting everybody know that this is not the place to do that. This is not NILU, which I think Colorado has good NIL opportunities for guys that like Shitter and Travis, but I don't think that's like a selling point of the program, because the selling point of the program should be playing for Coach Prime. It should be coming to Colorado, playing Power 5, Power 4 football now, and having a chance to make it to the NFL. And so I thought that was another interesting part. And then lastly, he says, you're not going to come here to get rich unless you're coming to go to the NFL and get your degree. And we've seen him talk about getting your degree and the importance of planning for life after football multiple times. And I think this is part of the cultural issue that Colorado is experiencing right now. You bring in so many guys that I don't know if they all thought they were going to, like Kavosi Smoke was like, yeah, we should have been undefeated. And then we see the videos of them being like, of Coach Prime telling them, what is your plan for life after football, to the team? And not a lot of these guys have plans for life after football. And it kind of makes you realize that this team in particular is living in La La Land. They are living in this world where they're like, you know what? We're so good that we're going to go to the NFL. We're so good that we're going to make all this money. And he's kind of had to be like, guys, that's not happening. This is not happening for all of you. Like, college football is not a, excuse me, it is not an avenue to the NFL for everybody. Only about 2% of guys in college make it. And realistically, if a team puts 5 guys into the NFL, 3 of them are probably going to be really like one team, like Colorado this year. Next year, I guess they'll put Shedeur and Travis and Shiloh and say a couple other guys into the NFL. It's not going to work out for all of them. It's just that's how the stats work. Like, the NFL is not for everybody. And so I think Coach Prime is still adjusting to what college football is these days, because obviously it's an ever-changing landscape and you never really know what to expect, and you never really know what to kind of um, you never know kind of what to expect from recruits who and what their plans are, because I think everybody plans to go to the NFL, obviously, but not everybody has realistic expectations. They're like, I'm going to get $1 million. It's like, no, you're not, because not everybody's getting $1 million. And it's just a wild world we live in. And I think Coach Prime, while it wasn't so much as shading these recruits, I think he's just letting everybody know what the current problems are in college football. And he's just doing it in his way, which is why we've always supported him, because obviously he's done things his way the entire time. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the latest addition, or the newest addition next year, to Colorado's coaching staff. And I think it's a big one. I think it's one that can help them for the foreseeable future. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. We are talking about the latest addition to Colorado's coaching staff for next year. Well, I guess it's not really the latest. We knew it was kind of going to happen, and then it hasn't happened yet. But Coach Prime made it known that Warren Sapp, the Pro Football Hall of Fame defensive tackle, Warren Sapp, that one, yeah, he's going to join the Buffalo's coaching staff for 2024. It's not made official yet, but Sanders announced the pending decision, or addition, excuse me, during his weekly show this earlier in the week. He said, I'm excited about Coach Sapp. He's a dear friend that I love to life, and he's going to be invaluable to what he brings to the table. As far as the recruits, they're going to love him. And he said after practice, and then they talked about how he's been around Colorado this year in an unofficial capacity. He said after practice, he was in the hot tub with the whole darn defensive line, and he was just going over stuff. It was unbelievable. He's like, there's probably 4,000 pounds in that hot tub, Sanders said when talking about all the defensive linemen. And so what does this mean? Well, for starters, this may mean that there's another coaching shakeup. If he wants to bring him on as a defensive tackles coach, let's take a look at their coaching staff as we see it right now. I think that there's going to be some obvious changes. Sean Lewis probably not going to be. Sean Lewis is probably not going to be the offensive coordinator anymore. Who knows what to make of Tim Brewster, the tight ends coach who got demoted, so Pat Shurmur could be promoted. And then you have defensive tackles. So let's see. Currently, that's Sal Sunseri. He's the assistant defensive tackles he's the defensive tackles coach. Is he still going to be in that same role, or does Coach Prime make room for someone else, aka Warren Sapp, or does he go to an analyst role, which obviously that would replace someone else? But I think recruiting wise, the appeal for Colorado right now under Coach Prime is you got Warren Sapp, you got Deion Sanders, and you got a lot of other guys that have high quality experience. It's like, why wouldn't I want to go play for them? Why wouldn't I want to go take that chance and play for NFL Hall of Famers who know how to get me to the next level? I do think it's interesting that Coach Prime is making so many changes to his staff. Whether it works or not, I think that's a story for a different day. But it is interesting, I will say, and I'm kind of, I don't say worried about it, but if he just keeps swapping guys out, is he going to have enough experience around him? I think what we saw this year, specifically when the team was struggling the most in terms of game management, time management, was that there wasn't someone in Coach Prime's ear being like, dude, we got to get a timeout here. Or against Oregon State, when they decided to throw the ball 3 times and then run the ball, or throw the ball twice and then run the ball, that's got to be a game management thing. That's got to be like you got to have coaches around you. And so if I were to make any changes to this coaching staff, I would hire like a game management coach. Obviously, I don't know what position they'd be under, but you need someone to help you out with game management, with analytics and all that stuff, because obviously they all play a role in what is important in college football and football in general. And so Coach Warren Sapp, I think excuse me. He brings in a recruiting savvy. Obviously, he knows what it takes to be a defensive tackle at the highest level, and that's probably outside of the offensive line. The defensive line is their weakest position group, and so having a legend like this only helps them improve and makes life easier for everyone involved. And maybe it helps them lure some big names away from power programs like SEC programs. Maybe someone's like, you know what? I was torn up between going to Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Colorado, but Warren Sapp compared to Pete Golding or whatever, it's like, oh, that changes things. And so I think that's what Coach Prime is doing. I think he knows what he's doing. I just hope that he has the right staff around him next year to kind of help facilitate his job as the CEO of the team, because obviously, as the CEO, your job is to oversee everything. And I wouldn't say Coach Prime's not doing a good job at it. I just think that there's room for improvement. I think that there's some gamesmanship aspects to college football that he's learning about on the fly, which I think makes it easier for other teams to kind of take advantage of him. But either way, Coach Warren Sapp, huge addition. I expect Colorado to see an uptick in recruiting once he joins the staff, and hopefully an uptick in physicality and an uptick in production from their defensive line, because I think they are probably the second, like I said, the second weakest position group on the team, and they have a lot of room to grow. And who better to help them improve than an NFL Hall of Famer? When we come back, we're going to be talking about all the reasons that Colorado fans should be thankful for Coach Prime and his presence in Boulder. Welcome back to conclude this Thanksgiving episode, which, by the way, I don't think I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to all those who celebrate. We have a lot of reasons to be thankful for here over on Locked On Buff side of things. And I think Colorado fans have a lot of reasons to be thankful for in terms of what they got this year. For one, the program is relevant. And I think that's while a lot of people are like, oh, that doesn't always mean wins, that they didn't win a lot of games. Colorado was 1-11 last year. They were irrelevant. I think their relevance helped them get into the Big 12. I think their relevance obviously is going to help them in recruiting and attracting better transfer portal players. So relevance, thankful for relevance. Obviously, that means we got to be thankful for Coach Prime, which that's the biggest one. Coach Prime, he had a job offer from South Florida, and that's obviously more so his area, his roots. And he chose this Colorado job, which was a head scratcher for a lot of people. It's like, why would he pick Colorado? And he's done nothing but succeed at this job. He's made it relevant. He's brought in top talent. He's kind of made it so people care about this program. He's helped this program make money. They're going to renovate the scoreboard. He's renovated. He's boosted the economy in Boulder, which is a great little college town. But outside of like I won't say there's not a lot to do in Boulder, but it's the definition of a college town. So their economy could always use a little boost here and there. It's not like they're in the center of Dallas or Los Angeles where they're going to be popping off regardless. Boulder could have used some extra money, and boy, did they ever get some. They were generating like $20 million every home game or something crazy like that. Like, he is generating money so much. He's made the program relevant. He's generating money, attracting talent, and I think he's going to have Colorado competing. And I think at the end of the day, that's what everybody wants from their college football program, is to compete. So be thankful for that. Be thankful that he brought over his son, Shiloh, and then obviously not his son, but I would say like a son-like figure, Travis Hunter, because Colorado has two of the most popular players, two of the best players in college football. And it's really rare for a program like Colorado to have someone that good, let alone have two of the top 20-ish, top 15 players in college football. It doesn't happen that often. And so be thankful for Shedeur Sanders, be thankful for Travis. I think they're both going to leave Colorado as legends, which you're probably like, oh, that's crazy. Shedeur Sanders has already broken records for passing yards in the season. I think if he plays against Utah, he could break a record for touchdowns in a season. And then Travis, I think we're witnessing arguably one of the best two-way players in college football history. I don't think that's a broad statement to make. And I think Travis Hunter has really elevated what this program could be. I think he's been the perfect recruiting pitch for Coach Prime, because a lot of guys want to go into college and play both ways. And it's like, if you want to do that, we have the recipe for success. Look at Travis Hunter. So be thankful for those guys, and then be thankful for college football in general. I think it's a weird world. It's a wacky world, and that's why we love the sport. And if you're not thankful for that college football has gone this direction, I don't know what to tell you. Coach Prime has really changed the narrative around Colorado. And I think once they start winning, it's going to be more of the hype that we saw at the beginning of the year, which was really fun to cover. really fun to be a part of. And I think it's been difficult for a lot of people, especially Colorado fans who are excited and kind of let their excitement get the best of them because obviously they started struggling. And then everybody likes to see you struggle. Nobody likes to see you succeed. And that's kind of what we've learned throughout the year because obviously Colorado had a great amount of success and they were booming. They won 3 games. Everybody's like, oh, Colorado, like look at them go. And then they start losing. It's like, this program's trash. And that's what everybody, it's always the either or. It's never in between. Just be thankful for the improvement because this program is certainly headed in the right direction. If they're going to bring in another talented transfer class, I think they could bring in another talented recruiting class. And there's a lot of things to be thankful for if you're a Colorado fan, and be thankful that Coach Prime's sticking around. I think that's another thing. Realistically, he could have left for a job. We don't know what job would have offered him at this moment because obviously the past few weeks have been difficult, but he has been, I guess, the ideal coach for Colorado. He's really bought into the program. He's really bought into the community. And I don't think you see that a lot. I think the consensus from what I've heard comparing him to Mel Tucker was that he's really bought into the local community. Whereas previous coaches, maybe not so much. Previous coaches maybe wouldn't hang out with Peggy the superfan. Sorry, my voice is giving out on me. But either way, there's a lot to be thankful for. Maybe they won 4 games too, which I know that's not like, oh, that's not the best thing ever, but it's obviously an improvement over 1 game. They were projected to win 3.5, and this Colorado program is trending up, and that's all we could ask for. I think heading into the season, everyone was like, Colorado's not going to be good. They're going to win 2 or 3 games. They won 4, and with a chance to win 5, and they have a chance to kind of propel this up even more. Maybe win 8 games next year, compete in the Big 12. Who knows what's going to happen? But either way, this Colorado program is heading in the right direction, and I think you guys all know how important that is. Also, I wanted to tell you guys about this cool thing Locked On's doing. Locked On has launched their first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to our first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. It's really cool. It's sports every day, all day. And they got everything you want to talk about covered, whether it be the NFL, the NBA, college football, MLB, NHL. They got it all covered. But back to Coach Prime. He's changed the program for the better. He's changed the program for good. And I think Colorado just needs to figure out a way to hold on to him. And I think they need to hope that he figures things out schematically and recruiting wise, because obviously recruiting is not where I thought, or I think where a lot of us thought it would be at the moment. I think there's going to be some improvement there, but Colorado is in a much better place, way better place than what it was last year and the year before. So if you are a Colorado fan and you're happy with kind of where the program is now, give Coach Prime another year to bring in more talent. He learned from his mistakes. I think he's going to bring an offensive coordinator that hopefully sees eye to eye with him. And I think that there's going to be some changes made. But Colorado's in a better place than they have been in over a decade. And that's saying something because this program was kind of viewed as a bottom feeder of college football. And now look at them. So I appreciate you guys. I'm thankful for you guys for getting us up to nearly 3,900 subscribers now. You guys have made Locked On Buffs a very fun part of my young career, and I hope to continue it, and I hope to continue to grow. I want to get to 4,000 subscribers here pretty soon, and I think that we're going to continue to do so, continue to rise, and I look forward to having some guests coming up. I think there's a lot of people in and around the country that I'm excited to interview and share their stories with you guys, and it's going to be a fun opportunity. I want to thank you guys for giving me this opportunity, this platform, and I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. My name is Kevin Boulder. This has been another great episode of Locked On Buffs. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Remember, it is Locked On Buffs, your team every day, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts.